Okay, so in today's video, as it's titled, I let my yard burn up, is pretty much the truth, but give you a little backstory. So I've got a situation in my backyard that is a swampy mess. So let's go take a look and then we'll go from there. Okay, a little bit of backstory on this is that my neighbors that live to the east of me have placed new sod down in the heat of the summer about 2 weeks ago, and because of that there's a lot of watering going on, and this is the result. I've got nothing but a straight up swamp in this back corner, and it's nasty and it's gross, but I have not run my sprinklers for 1 full week in the backyard, and as you're going to start seeing, I've got some drought stress in the areas that aren't swamped out, and so right about there ends where the swampiness is, and then it literally is completely dried out. Now this is just grass that's going dormant, but we're going to revive it. But this is what the yard looks like 1 week of absolutely no water in the backyard. It's holding on pretty good, but we can't let it go for much longer, or we're going to go into dormancy for so long that we'll never be able to get it back in time. So you can see some of these other dry spots. They're starting to get pretty stressed, but again, 1 full week with no water, and it's looking pretty good considering that we've had the day before and the day before that we had 100 degree days, and we are now currently sitting at 99 degrees. We'll probably hit 100 to 101. So definitely some areas that we are going to pay some attention to in this video. Okay, so this is the mow strip. The mow strip hasn't had water for probably about 4 days, and I'm starting to get a little bit of dry spots in a couple areas. Looks like we've got a urine spot there that we'll have to fix. And then this is a shadow, I believe, that's getting cast from the sprinkler not being able to hit this and get as much coverage as it should. But we're going to measure it out and see maybe exactly what the problem is. But overall, all the way up and down, I look pretty good until I get right about in this area. I mean, it's pretty heat stressed. But that's 4 days without water in 100+ degree weather. I am getting a little bit of cooked sod right here. This is definitely dried out, but it's because I get the heat from the curb, heat from the sidewalk, and heat from the cement around the post for the crosswalk. Okay, stop sign, not too bad. It's starting to feel a little bit, get a little crusty around the edges, and then I do have this dry spot that I believe is just so much heat coming in from the curb, from the sidewalk, and just radiating completely. I mean, you're taking all the heat that's hitting this curb and literally radiating that heat into the sod. The front mow strip, I can see just a couple little tiny spots that are starting to stress just a little bit. So there's a couple right here. You can't see them when you're on top of them, but you can see them at an angle, so right about there. And I've got polarized glasses, so it helps to see those a little bit better. But what I'm really happy with is the fact that the front yard doesn't have any major signs of stress. I can see just a couple that are starting to form, and I'd imagine that if we didn't water today or this evening, we'd definitely have some stress in the front. But the front's holding up pretty darn well. The side, well, the side's always been a challenge, because I have to make sure that I'm not watering too much or watering too little, because this stretch gets sun from the second the sun comes up over the homes here until it sets all the way in the west. This stretch always is in the sun. I can see just a little bit of stressing just very lightly right here, but nothing too bad, and then a little bit of stressing right in here. That leads us back around full circle for the yard, and we're back to this drought stressed area. Now I'm sure there's a few of you that would ask, why on earth would you allow your yard to stress out that much? Well, first of all, I wanted to see how resilient this grass is, because remember, I have said it before and I'll say it again. Your grass is resilient. This is just some dormancy that's starting to go in as it tries to protect itself. There are some areas like my corners on my sidewalks and the curb that hits that probably won't revive back until more towards the fall, but I've had to deal with that almost every single year. Not a whole lot you can do. You just have to make sure that you're doing the very best you can and keeping those strips looking great. But in the area of the backyard, I've got, like I said, 1 full week with absolutely no water back here. And I do have some stressed out areas, but I'm going to show you that within 3 days, doing some watering today and then giving it a rest and then watering a good saturation the day after that, within 3 to 4 days the grass will be coming right back, be revived and ready to go. So first, let's put a cap on that sprinkler head to make sure that I'm not adding to any more saturation of that backyard. Alright, cap this out, and it's gotten so slushy it's actually covered over my head. There it is. Definitely gonna have to flush this one out when this is all said and done. Okay, so we've got this cap for a Rainbird 1800. Make sure that you get the gasket with it. And this will keep this head from and seal the pressure so that it just stays to the other head so that I can get some watering done and not be saturating from this head alone. But if I am the one that's at fault here with this, it's going to show me because it's possible I might have a cracked head. I don't know. I don't think so because I would have seen it after, I would have noticed it after having a whole week of no running water back here. But let's give it a test and we'll see how it does. Oh my gosh, this is so bad. Okay, looks like the cap's on. The water's popping. Now, one thing that we're going to do is we're going to calculate how much water I'm getting in certain areas. And I'm going to use the places that are stressed to see, are they stressing because they didn't get quite as much water on the course of watering over the past couple months and it's just drying out right there? Are those areas of concern? Or is there another issue? Is there some hydrophobic soil? Is it too much heat? But we're going to be able to tell with measuring this out. And I've got I go a little crazy. I've got these little measuring cups. There's 10 of them, and you can get these on Amazon. I'll link it down in the description below. But these are very, very nice. You do not have to have these. You can use a tuna can and set it out in certain areas. I always say put one in a place that's rolling really well with the watering, and one that's not in the same zone, and see exactly maybe what the problem is. Is it just not getting enough coverage? Is it too sun-baked? Well, you might have to get that area up to where it's getting 1 inch to 1.5 inches of water each week. During the summer, I'd say 1.5 inches is more than reasonable, because you are stressing the lawn at over 100 degrees, at least here in Utah we're getting it that way, and I want to keep my grass green. Here a few weeks ago, I'm on the community page on Facebook, and a gentleman said, hey, I've got a really ugly yard, how often should I water my grass? And I was amazed, and I'm going to throw some of those screenshots. I'll have to blur out the names of the people, of course, but I was amazed at the responses that came in this area where we live in that said, and I quote, I water twice a day, once in the morning, once at night, every single day. And if it was just one, I'd probably just let that go and roll on. But there was at least half a dozen out of 12 to 15 comments. So I piped up and said, I'm just telling you really quick right now, you just have to have 1 inch to 1.5 inches of water each week. You can do that by, if you're going to water twice a week, getting down 3/4 of an inch each time, so you get to your 1.5 during the summer, and then in the spring and fall, take it back down to 1 inch per week. But if you're going to do 3 times a week, then you need 1/2 inch each time. But what you don't want to do is water every single day, because you're not training those roots of the grass to be able to chase after the water. If you're not training to chase after that, it's going to be a lot like a teenager that doesn't have a job and just sits on your couch eating potato chips and playing video games. It's not going to put in the effort to chase that water. Now, training it can be a delicate balance. If you don't have enough water getting in and getting a good permeation, which is the reason why I like MP rotators, and starting to train those roots to get down deep, there's some areas that when I've dug up, let's put these out. Let's see how we do. We're going to run it for 30 minutes because it has been a while since I've watered some of this. We're going to go for 30 minutes, see what the measurement is on it, and then we'll be able to tell, do I need to bring it back a little bit, or do I need to add just a little bit more time to get to that proper 1/2 inch to 3/4 of an inch, depending on how often you water. In the summertime, I'll go 3 times a week, 1/2 inch each time. So that's what we're going to shoot for right now. Okay, so we're going to go and we're going to place these cups in certain areas. I'm going to put one here in this what looks to be a little lightly stressed area, and then I'm going to put another one right about here that's super green. I can get those in pretty easy, and then I'm just going to put one more in this strip just to kind of see. Looks like I've got just a slightly stressed spot here. And I think that might actually be a soil problem, because I can't get that down too awful far. So it looks like I've got some compaction right there. So that's definitely good to know. Okay, in this area, this is my most needed spot for water, obviously. So we're gonna put that down there. We're gonna see how it does and how much it's getting or not getting. And then I'm going to put one right here and see how that does. That looks pretty green. Maybe that can give us an idea as to what the problem is. I'm also going to add one right there because I do have a little bit of drying. We'll see if we're getting enough water down, or if this is just, what my thoughts are is that the cement is literally cooking both sides and cooking the sod right there. Okay, back here, we're going to, let's put it right here. Let's see what we're getting on this side. And let's see what we're getting right here, because I can see that those are both stressed, but I do have, it looks like, some compaction right there as well, because I cannot get that in all the way. So the last two, we've got a dry spot here, and I've got a spot here, and I think that this is, I can actually get that pushed in. I'm not sure exactly what that is. We might actually have a grub problem, because it's coming up pretty easy, but we'll see. Everything else looks pretty good. Now this area here shouldn't really be that dry. I'm getting triple coverage at least from this head to that, from that head, and from this head over here to this area. We'll see how much water we put down, but okay, so we ran it for 30 minutes and we currently are sitting at just a little bit under ½ inch in 30 minutes. So not too bad. So that means I probably need to run it for maybe 35 to 40 to get to that ½ inch if I'm watering 3 times a week. All right, now this one, it's close to the same, maybe just a little bit less. Just over about 1/4 inch, but you know, about the same thing. I think if we stick it to 40 minutes, 45 minutes at the most, we'd be getting our ½ hour, or we'd be getting our ½ inch that we need. And right there we are at just over ½ inch, so that must be a very might be watering just a little too much in that area, but we're gonna have to find the happy spot so that everything gets the amount of water that it needs. All right, now on this corner, ½ inch. So we're getting enough water in this area. It might just be that it's cooking that corner just a little faster than I'd like because it's so hot out, but probably wouldn't hurt. If I go up to 40 minutes, it'll give it just a little bit more water to help survive that area. Now, here's the kicker. This one in the super dry spot, I'm only getting, all right, now these are the areas that I had a hard time getting this down into. I'm right at ½ inch. So overall, I'm pretty darn close on just about everything. Let's see about this one. Again, just a little bit over ½ inch. So it's obvious that the cement and the surrounding areas are just heating up and cooking everything. I think that if I get up to that 40-45 minutes, that'll give it just a little bit extra water that it needs to make sure that it can survive until the next watering and I'm not cooking myself out. All right, so this one is in this slightly dry patch and we're sitting just barely under ½ inch. So it's getting close to the amount of water it needs. So I think that overall the target area that we're looking at, and then we're at ½ inch there. So the target time is going to be somewhere between 40 and 45 minutes to make sure that we get proper coverage everywhere. It may cause a little extra watering in the places that have got triple and quadruple coverage on it, but what we need to make sure is that we're getting good coverage everywhere. It might be a little heavier in some areas, but during the summertime with this heat, it's just going to be the sacrifice that we have to make sure we don't get dying areas and dry spots. Okay, so after checking these and after half an hour, I've got maybe not even quite a quarter of an inch in these spots. Now the only time the other spots all get double and sometimes triple coverage, every now and again quadruple coverage, but these get it when the east side runs and gets a chance to fill back over. So everything else is pretty light, and they're all about the same. They're all about just under a quarter of an inch 30 minutes, which again, when you're talking about flow rates and precipitation rates, that's gonna happen. Yep. So we're gonna keep these in where they're at. Again, it's about a quarter of an inch. But definitely gonna have to make sure I run these longer. So probably, I'm guessing, an hour, and we'll see what it ends up with when the other side's flowing, but that's hardly anything. So, you know, that's the pros and cons with MP rotators. You get a great permeation, but it does take a while to get out enough water to be able to do that. But again, because it takes so long, you're getting the permeation down into the ground like you're looking for. Thanks for watching. Please hit that subscribe button and hit that notification bell for notifications on any future videos being posted. Also, like, share with your friends, and comment down below. It really helps. And we'll see you in the next one.